What's up, everybody? We're here back on FreeCodeCamp.org doing a daily coding challenge for September 24th. This one's called Perfect Square. Given an integer, determine if it is a perfect square. A number is a perfect square if you can multiply an integer by itself to achieve that number. For example, 9 is a perfect square because you can multiply 3 by itself to get it. So the idea here is that we're going to get a number coming into the function like 9, and we need to be able to return a Boolean, true or false, on if that number is a perfect square. In the case of 9, they say, you can multiply 3 by itself to get 9. And, some of the examples here, 49, 7 times 7, 99 is false, -9 is false, 0 apparently is true, and I guess 25,281 is a perfect square. Who knew? So I can think of two ways to solve this. This is relatively simple if you just kind of know your arithmetic and can kind of think backward here. But ultimately, I think the fundamental thing to remember is that if you get the square root of a number and it's not a perfect square, it's going to be a decimal number, or like in programming terms, it's going to be a float. So what we can do is get the square root using math dot square root. Yeah. Pass that number in, that's going to be our square root. So if this is 9, we're going to get 3. But if this is 99, we're going to get whatever point something, whatever the square root of 99 is. But it's not going to be a whole number. So all we have to do is check to see if this is an integer. And there's a couple different ways to do that. One thing that comes to mind is that we can round it down. So we could use math.floor. The floor function will round whatever number we pass into it down to the next whole number. Like in the case of 99, if we got whatever it is, 9.5 something, it'll round it down to 9. 9 times 9 is 81, and thinking up from that, 10 times 10 is 100. But either way, that's not going to be a whole number. So if we find whatever the next whole number down is, and if that isn't equal to the square root itself, then we know, oh, okay, so the square root was a decimal number because it's not equal to the result of rounding from the decimal number to a whole number. So this could be a solution, I believe. Let's hold our breath, run the tests. And that is a solution. But there is, I guess, a more simple way to phrase this code, because if I'm remembering correctly, JavaScript has an isInteger method. And if we pass the square root into this, then that will get us the recognition on whether or not the square root is a whole number or not. So I'll do it on 2 lines at first. Let's bring back the square root. And instead of this return statement, I'll do number isInteger and pass in the square root. So that should end up getting us the same result. But as you probably noticed, we can also just pass in that square root method call into the argument for isInteger call. So we take thinking inward to outward, we have the number, then we call math square root function, we get the square root of that number, and then the square root gets passed into number isInteger method. And that's our solution there. This is going to be a quick one. This is relatively simple if you can think through that process of like, how can I determine if this is a perfect square or not? Without that, this would be a little bit harder to solve, and you might end up trying to multiply things and test things or something like that. But this is my approach to it. Thanks for watching. Have a great day and good luck on your coding journey, my friends. Take care.